I used to believe my family was happy. Maybe I believed it because I wanted it to be true. Every morning, I woke up before sunrise, made coffee, packed Lily's lunch, and drove her to school before heading to work. One morning, Lily smiled as she climbed into the car. "Daddy, can we get pancakes after school?" I laughed. "If you finish your homework first." She grinned. "Deal." Those little moments made every long day worth it. When I came home that evening, Olivia was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She barely looked up. "You're late." "I had to stay another hour." "You've been saying that a lot." "I know. I'm sorry." She closed her laptop. "I'm just tired, Ethan." "I am too." For a second, neither of us spoke. Then Lily ran into the room. "Daddy." She wrapped her arms around me. "I got an A on my science test." I picked her up. "I knew you could do it." "Are you proud of me?" "I'll always be proud of you." She smiled so brightly that every problem in my life seemed smaller. Olivia watched us quietly before standing. "I have another meeting tomorrow." "Another one?" "It's important." "You've had meetings every night this week." She sighed. "That's what promotions look like." I forced a smile. "I'm proud of you." She nodded without smiling back. Over the next few months, her meetings became longer. Her phone rang during dinner. She answered emails while watching television. Sometimes she didn't come home until Lily was asleep. I tried not to complain. Her success mattered to me. If one of us could build a better future, then the sacrifices were worth it. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. One Saturday morning, Olivia walked into the kitchen. "Ethan." "Yeah." "My boss invited us to dinner." "Us?" "Yes. He wants to meet the family." "When?" "Tonight." I looked at Lily. She was drawing with crayons. "Sure." That evening, I met Ryan Carter for the first time. He stepped out of a black luxury SUV wearing an expensive suit. He smiled before shaking my hand. "So you're Ethan?" "I am." "I've heard good things. I hope they are true." He laughed. "I like you already." He carried a large gift bag into our house. "Lily, this is for you." Her eyes grew wide. "For me?" "Go ahead." She opened it and gasped. A new tablet. She hugged him. "Thank you." I looked at Olivia. "You didn't tell him to buy that." She shrugged. "I didn't know he would." Ryan smiled. "I enjoy making kids happy." I forced another smile. "That's generous." Dinner started normally. Ryan talked about business. Olivia listened carefully. Every time he spoke, she laughed. More than she laughed at my jokes these days. When dinner ended, Ryan stood. "Thanks for having me." "It was nice meeting you," I said. "You too." As he walked outside, Olivia followed him to the driveway. They talked quietly for several minutes. When she came back inside, I asked, "Everything okay?" "Yes." "What took so long?" "Work. It couldn't wait until Monday." She looked annoyed. "Not everything revolves around your schedule." I stayed silent. I didn't want another argument. The weeks passed. Ryan kept showing up. He attended Lily's school play. He came to her birthday party. He even joined us at a weekend picnic. One afternoon, I whispered to Olivia, "Don't you think this is getting strange?" She frowned. "He's just being friendly." Friendly people don't spend every weekend with another man's family. She folded her arms. "You're overthinking this." "Am I?" "Yes." Ryan walked toward us carrying 3 ice creams. Chocolate for Lily. Vanilla for Olivia. He handed me the last one, and strawberry for Ethan. I accepted it politely. "Thanks." Inside, though, something felt wrong. I just couldn't explain why. Ryan became part of our lives so quietly that I almost missed it. One evening, I walked into the living room and stopped. Ryan was sitting on our couch. Lily laughed as they played a racing game together. Olivia looked up. "Oh, you're home." I forced a smile. I didn't know we had company. Ryan stood. "I hope you don't mind. Olivia invited me." "Of course," I replied. "You're our guest." He smiled. "You've got a beautiful family, Ethan." I looked at Lily. "They're my whole world." Ryan nodded. but something about the way he looked at Olivia made my stomach tighten. That night, after he left, I asked, "Can we talk?" Olivia crossed her arms. "What now? Don't you think Ryan is spending too much time with us?" She sighed. "He's lonely." "So? He likes being around families. He has co-workers, friends. Why us? You're making this into something it isn't." "I'm asking because I'm worried." "You're jealous?" I stared at her. "No, I'm confused." She walked upstairs without another word. The silence between us grew heavier every day. A week later, Lily had a school talent show. I arrived early after leaving work before my shift ended. When I entered the auditorium, Ryan was already sitting beside Olivia. He waved. "Ethan, we saved you a seat." I sat down quietly. Lily walked onto the stage a few minutes later. She spotted us and smiled. After the performance, she ran toward us. "Daddy, Mommy, did you see me?" "I did," I said proudly. "You were amazing." Ryan clapped. "You were the best one there." Lily laughed. "Really?" "Absolutely." She hugged him before turning to me. For some reason, that hug hurt more than it should have. Later that night, I tucked Lily into bed. She looked at me. "Daddy." "Yes, sweetheart." "Ryan says I'm really smart." "You are." "He says I could go to a better school someday." "I'm going to help you do that." She smiled. "I know." I kissed her forehead. "Good night." "Love you." "I love you more." As I closed the bedroom door, I heard Olivia talking on the phone downstairs. Her voice was soft, almost cheerful. I couldn't hear every word, but I recognized Ryan's voice through the speaker. The next evening, we all sat down for dinner. It had been weeks since we shared a quiet meal together. I wanted things to feel normal again. I smiled at Lily. "How was school?" "It was fun." "What did you learn today?" "We talked about families." "That sounds nice." She nodded excitedly. "Our teacher said families come in different shapes." "They do?" I agreed. She looked at Olivia. Then she looked at me. Finally, she took a deep breath. "Daddy." "Yes." "Ryan says he can be my new father." My fork slipped from my hand. The room became completely silent. Lily looked at me with innocent eyes. I want that." I couldn't breathe. I turned slowly toward Olivia. She didn't speak. She didn't tell Lily she was wrong. She didn't defend me. She simply lowered her eyes. I whispered, "Olivia, say something." She remained silent. "Please." "Nothing." Lily frowned. "Daddy, are you mad?" I forced myself to smile. "No, sweetheart. Ryan says he'll always take care of us." "I've always taken care of you." She looked confused. "I know." I stood up before my tears could fall. "I need some air." No one tried to stop me. Outside, the cold night air hit my face. I stood beside the porch, trying to understand how my life had changed so completely. A few minutes later, I heard the front door open. Olivia stepped outside. She didn't notice me standing in the shadows. Her phone was against her ear. Then I heard Ryan's voice. Olivia let out a quiet laugh. "Don't worry," she said. "He'll accept reality eventually." My heart broke without making a sound. At that moment, I realized I hadn't just lost my wife's respect. I was already losing my family. The morning after I overheard Olivia telling Ryan that I would accept reality, I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. "You can fix this," I whispered. I wanted to believe it. When I walked downstairs, Lily was eating cereal. She smiled. "Morning, Daddy." "Morning, sweetheart." I kissed the top of her head. Olivia grabbed her car keys. "I'll be home late." "Another meeting?" "Yes." I nodded. "Drive safely." She left without looking back. That evening, I stopped by a travel agency after work. The woman behind the desk smiled. "Planning a vacation?" "I hope so." "For how many people?" "My wife, my daughter, and me." I booked a weekend cabin near a lake. I imagined Lily laughing by the water. I imagined Olivia smiling at me again. For the first time in weeks, I felt hopeful. When I showed Olivia the reservation, she barely looked at it. "I can't go." Why? I have work. You always have work. My career matters, Ethan. So does our family. She closed her laptop. I said I can't go. Lily walked into the room. Vacation. I forced a smile. We'll figure something out. She looked disappointed. Ryan's name appeared on Olivia's phone. She answered immediately. I'll be right there. She grabbed her purse. I stood quietly as she walked out. A few days later, I attended Lily's school art fair. I arrived early with flowers for her. She ran toward me. Daddy, look what I made. It's beautiful. She hugged me. For one moment, everything felt normal. Then Ryan walked through the door carrying a huge gift basket. Lily. She ran to him. Ryan. He handed her the basket. I heard about your art show. You came. Of course. He smiled at me. Wouldn't miss it. The teacher walked over. Oh, you must be Lily's parents. Ryan looked at Olivia. She smiled awkwardly. I quickly extended my hand. I'm Ethan. I'm Lily's father. The teacher apologized. I'm so sorry. Ryan laughed. No problem. But it was a problem. A painful one. On the drive home, nobody spoke. That night, Lily knocked on my bedroom door. Daddy. Come in. She sat beside me. Ryan says rich schools have better teachers. They do have nice schools. Can I go someday? If that's what you want, I'll work hard to make it happen. She tilted her head. He said he could pay for it now. Those words landed like stones on my chest. I smiled anyway. I'll always do my best for you. She hugged me. I know. After she fell asleep, I called my sister Emma. She answered immediately. Ethan, can we talk? Are you okay? I don't think so. She arrived 20 minutes later. The moment she saw my face, she wrapped me in a hug. You've been crying. I don't know how to save my family. She pulled back and looked straight into my eyes. Stop trying to save people who aren't trying to save you. I can't give up. There's a difference between fighting for your marriage and begging for your place in it. I'm her husband. And you're still a human being. I looked at the floor. What if this is all my fault? She shook her head. Listen to yourself. I'm trying harder every day. I know. But they're asking you to become someone you'll never be. I swallowed hard. I just want my daughter back. Emma squeezed my shoulder. Then don't lose yourself while chasing people who keep walking away. The next morning, Emma's words stayed with me. Don't lose yourself while chasing people who keep walking away. I wanted to ignore them. Instead, I worked even harder. I picked Lily up from school every day. I helped with her homework. I cooked dinner whenever Olivia came home late. I told myself that if I loved my family enough, everything would go back to normal. One Friday evening, Olivia walked into the kitchen. We're having dinner with Ryan. I looked up. Again? He wants to celebrate a new business deal. I thought tonight was supposed to be family night. It still is. I almost laughed. Ryan arrived carrying another expensive gift. Lily, I saw these books and thought of you. Her face lit up. Thank you. I watched her hug him. She hadn't hugged me all week. We sat around the dining table. Ryan smiled at Lily. How's school? It's good. Still thinking about private school. She nodded. I'd love to go. Ryan looked at Olivia. I've been thinking. She smiled. Oh. I'd like to pay Lily's tuition. The room went silent. I looked at him. You don't need to do that. He leaned back calmly. I want to. I said no. Before I could say anything else, Olivia spoke. That's incredibly generous. I turned toward her. Olivia. She didn't even look at me. It would give Lily more opportunities. I can provide for my daughter. Ryan smiled politely. I'm not saying you can't. It sounds exactly like you're saying that. He folded his hands. Ethan, this isn't a competition. It became one the day you started acting like you belong in my family. Lily looked between us. Daddy. I forced myself to stay calm. This conversation is over. Olivia's voice became cold. No, it isn't. I stared at her. What does that mean? It means you need to stop letting your pride get in the way of Lily's future. My pride? Yes. I'm her father. Ryan quietly stood. I don't want to cause problems. I looked directly at him, then stopped stepping into my place. He didn't answer. Instead, he picked up his coat. I should go. After the front door closed, I turned to Olivia. You accepted his offer before I even answered. Because someone has to think about Lily. I think about her every single day. Thinking isn't enough anymore. Those words hit harder than any punch. Lily slowly walked upstairs without saying a word. The house became painfully quiet. I grabbed my keys. I'm going out. Olivia didn't stop me. She didn't even ask where I was going. I drove without knowing my destination. Eventually, I parked beside a quiet lake. My hands rested on the steering wheel. For the first time in years, I cried. Not because I was angry, because I finally admitted the truth. No matter how hard I worked, no matter how much I sacrificed, no matter how deeply I loved them, it would never be enough for people who had already replaced me in their hearts. A knock on my window startled me. I rolled it down. My best friend, Noah Bennett, stood outside. I figured I'd find you here. I managed a weak smile. You always do. He climbed into the passenger seat. For a minute, neither of us spoke. Then he looked at me. How long are you going to do this to yourself? I'm trying to save my family. No. He shook his head. You're trying to earn love that should never have required payment. I looked away. I don't know what else to do. He sighed. Ethan, listen carefully. I nodded. Love without respect becomes emotional slavery. His words settled into the silence. You've apologized for things you didn't do. I stayed quiet. You've accepted humiliation just to stay close to people who keep pushing you away. I closed my eyes. I thought patience would fix everything. Patience fixes misunderstandings. He looked straight at me. It doesn't fix people who have already chosen someone else. A tear rolled down my cheek. So what do I do now? He answered without hesitation. You stop begging. I took a slow breath. For the first time in months, I stopped asking how to save my marriage. Instead, I asked myself one question. If they wanted another father, why was I still fighting to stay where I was no longer wanted? That night, sitting alone inside my car, I made the hardest decision of my life. I would stop begging. I would stop chasing. And if they truly wanted another father, I would walk away with the only thing I still had left, my self-respect. I didn't tell anyone about my decision until it was already made. Early Monday morning, I packed a single suitcase, a few shirts, a pair of jeans, my shaving kit, the framed photo of Lily and me at the beach. That was all I took. Everything else stayed behind. Olivia walked into the bedroom and frowned. What are you doing? I'm leaving. She folded her arms. For how long? I don't know. She didn't look shocked. She looked annoyed. So this is your way of making me feel guilty? I zipped my suitcase. No. Then what is it? I'm done begging. She laughed softly. Ethan, stop being dramatic. I looked into her eyes. I'm not. For the first time in months, my voice didn't shake. I'm tired of fighting for a place in my own family. She sighed. You'll cool off. I already have. She stared at me for a few seconds. You'll be back. I didn't answer. I picked up my suitcase and walked downstairs. Lily sat on the couch watching cartoons. She looked at my bag. Are you going on a work trip, Daddy? I forced a smile. I'm going to stay somewhere else for a while. Oh. She looked back at the television. When are you coming home? I don't know yet. She nodded. That single word broke my heart. I wanted her to run toward me, to cry, to ask me not to leave. Instead, she simply accepted it. Maybe she believed Ryan would take my place. Maybe she thought fathers could be replaced as easily as old furniture. I kissed the top of her head. I love you more than anything. I love you too, Daddy. She didn't even turn away from the screen. I quietly walked out the front door. No one stopped me. No one chased after me. I placed my suitcase inside my old car and drove away. The rearview mirror showed the house growing smaller until it finally disappeared. I whispered to myself, "It's over." An hour later, I stood outside a small apartment building across town. The apartment wasn't fancy. One bedroom, old wooden floors, a tiny kitchen, but it was quiet. For the first time in months, silence felt peaceful instead of painful. After putting my suitcase inside, I made one more stop. The brass sign outside the office read, "Daniel Foster, Family Law Attorney." I walked inside. A receptionist smiled. "Can I help you?" "I have an appointment with Mr. Foster." A few minutes later, a calm man in his 40s entered the room. "You must be Ethan Brooks." "I am." He shook my hand. "Please, have a seat." I sat down. He opened a folder. "What brings you here today?" I took a slow breath. "I want to file for divorce." He studied my face for a moment. "Are you certain?" I closed my eyes for a second. I spent months trying to save my marriage. And now, I'm trying to save myself. He nodded. "I understand." He slid several papers across the desk. "I'll explain everything before you sign." For the next hour, he carefully answered every question. He never rushed me. He never judged me. When I finally signed the last page, my hand trembled. Daniel looked at me. "How do you feel?" I stared at my signature, like I'm burying someone who hasn't died. He remained quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Sometimes the hardest decision is also the healthiest one." I left his office carrying copies of the divorce papers. The folder felt heavier than it should have. That evening, Olivia called. I answered. "What is this?" she demanded. "You received the papers. You're actually filing." "Yes." "You can't be serious." "I've never been more serious." She laughed bitterly. "You'll regret this." "I already regret staying as long as I did." She went silent. Then she said, "You'll come crawling back once you realize what you've lost." I looked around my small apartment. I already know what I've lost. Before she could answer, I ended the call. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel the need to defend myself. The next few days felt strange. Nobody shouted at me. Nobody compared me to Ryan. Nobody made me feel like I had to earn my place. The silence inside my apartment no longer frightened me. It gave me room to breathe. Every morning, I made my own coffee and looked out the kitchen window. For the first time in months, I asked myself one simple question. Who am I when I'm not begging someone to love me? The answer didn't come immediately, but I stopped chasing it. Instead, I started rebuilding my life one small step at a time. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was Olivia. I answered. "What now?" "You left some clothes here. Donate them." "You don't even want to come get them." "No." She paused. "I thought you'd miss this house." "I miss my daughter." She didn't reply. A second later, the call ended. A week later, I attended one of Lily's school meetings. Ryan was supposed to be there with Olivia. I arrived early and waited in the hallway. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then the teacher walked out. "Mr. Brooks?" "Yes." "We've been waiting." I thought Ryan was coming. She frowned. He called and said he was busy. I nodded slowly. "I'll go in." During the meeting, I listened as the teacher explained Lily had become quieter. She doesn't participate as much. Has something happened at home? I chose my words carefully. Our family is going through changes. I hope she has someone to talk to. So do I. After the meeting, I thanked her and walked outside. Ryan's expensive car was nowhere in sight. That evening, Olivia called again. Ryan had an emergency. I see. He couldn't make the meeting. I noticed. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm just stating a fact. She sighed. I have to go. After hanging up, I wondered how many promises Ryan would break before someone else noticed. A few days later, I learned that Olivia had taken Lily to a child therapist. At first, I worried. Then I met the therapist myself. She smiled warmly. "I'm Sarah Mitchell." I shook her hand. "I'm Ethan. I'm glad you came. I'll do anything that helps my daughter." She nodded. "Lily loves both of her parents." "I know. But she's confused." My chest tightened. "Confused how?" She's trying to understand why the adults she trusts are acting differently. I stayed quiet. Sarah continued gently. Children often believe they are responsible for problems they didn't create. I never wanted her to feel that way. I believe you. She looked directly at me. The best thing you can do is stay consistent. I will. Keep showing up. I won't stop. She smiled. That's exactly what Lily needs. A few weeks passed. Life settled into a new routine. I worked during the day. I exercised after work. I cooked my own meals. I even started reading again before bed. Little by little, the man in the mirror looked stronger. Not happier, just stronger. One Saturday afternoon, Lily came to spend a few hours with me. She looked around my apartment. It's smaller than our house. It is. But I like it. You do. I smiled. It feels peaceful. She nodded thoughtfully. When it was time for her to leave, she hugged me tightly. I'll see you soon. As soon as I can. I promise. She climbed into Olivia's car without another word. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, my phone suddenly lit up. Lily calling. My heart jumped. I answered immediately. Hello. Silence. Lily. I could hear soft breathing. It's okay, sweetheart. Still nothing. I smiled through the ache in my chest. I love you. The breathing paused for a second. Then I heard a tiny sniffle. Before I could say another word, the call ended. I stared at the dark screen in my hand. She hadn't called to ask for anything. She hadn't called to talk. She had called just to hear my voice. For the first time since I walked away, I realized that somewhere inside her heart, my little girl was beginning to question everything she had been told. The custody process changed everything. For the first time, the truth mattered more than appearances. Daniel called me early one morning. Ethan, can you come to my office? Is something wrong? I think you'll want to hear this in person. An hour later, I sat across from him. He placed a file on his desk. We've received new information. What kind of information? Someone contacted our office. Who? He opened the folder. Grace Carter. I frowned. The name sounds familiar. Daniel nodded. She was Ryan's wife. My stomach tightened. What does she want? She says she has evidence about Ryan's past. I leaned forward. Why now? She believes the court should know the truth before any decisions are made. I stayed silent. Daniel looked at me. Would you like to meet her? Yes. That afternoon, Grace walked into the conference room. She looked calm but tired. She offered me a small smile. You must be Ethan. I am. I'm sorry we're meeting like this. So am I. She sat across from me. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, she broke the silence. I know Ryan. I answered quietly. I've started to realize that. She shook her head. No. You know the version he wants people to see. I knew that man once. She looked down at her hands. I married him. I listened carefully. He was charming. I can believe that. He bought expensive gifts. I've seen that. He always knew the right thing to say. I nodded. So what changed? Her expression hardened. The moment our son needed him. I frowned. You have a son together? She nodded slowly. His name is Mason. I waited. When Mason was 6, he broke his arm. What happened? Ryan complained the hospital visit ruined an important business dinner. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He said that. She looked directly at me. That wasn't even the worst part. She reached into her bag and removed an old photograph. A smiling little boy stood beside a birthday cake. Ryan wasn't in the picture. He promised he'd come. He didn't. He canceled because a client invited him to a golf tournament. My hands tightened around the edge of the table. Grace continued. As Mason grew older, Ryan spent less and less time at home. Did he ever explain why? He always used the same excuse. What was it? She closed her eyes for a moment. Children slow successful people down. The room became painfully quiet. I whispered, I can't imagine saying that about Lily. I know. She opened another folder. Eventually, Ryan moved out. And your son? He barely called. I felt my chest grow heavier. Did he fight for custody? Grace gave a bitter laugh. No. He walked away. I stared at the papers on the table. He abandoned his own child. She nodded. Parenting interfered with his career. Daniel quietly slid several documents toward me. These are court records. I looked through them. Everything Grace had said was there. Custody agreements. Missed visitation reports. Financial records. Nothing looked fake. Everything matched. I looked up. Why are you helping me? Grace answered without hesitation. Because no child deserves to believe a man like Ryan is the perfect father. Those words stayed with me long after the meeting ended. As I walked outside, my phone rang. It was Olivia. I answered. What is it? Her voice sounded irritated. Ryan says you've been spreading lies. I haven't. He told me someone is trying to destroy his reputation. I took a slow breath. Have you asked him who that someone is? What does that mean? It means you should start asking questions instead of believing every answer he gives. She became defensive. I trust him. I closed my eyes. I used to trust you. The line went silent. Then she spoke again. Ryan would never abandon his family. I looked at the folder in my hand. I hope, for your sake, you're right. She hung up without another word. As I drove home, I couldn't stop thinking about Mason. A little boy who had once waited for his father. A little boy who eventually stopped waiting. For the first time since this nightmare began, I wasn't wondering whether Ryan would make another mistake. I was wondering how much longer he could keep hiding the man he had always been. The meeting with Grace stayed in my mind for days. I didn't tell Lily. I didn't call Olivia. I decided the truth would speak for itself. 2 days later, Daniel called again. Ethan. What's happened? Grace officially submitted her evidence. Will the court review it? Yes. I let out a slow breath. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. What do you mean? This isn't over. I know. When the call ended, I went back to work. For the first time in months, I wasn't carrying anger. I was carrying patience. That weekend, Lily came to spend the afternoon with me. We baked chocolate cookies together. She accidentally spilled flour across the kitchen. Her eyes grew wide. Oh no! I laughed. I think the floor needed some flour. She giggled. You always make accidents funny. I try. She looked at me for a moment. Daddy. Yes. Do you still read before bed? Every night. I miss your stories. My heart tightened. I miss reading them to you. She looked down without saying anything else. Later that evening, Olivia picked her up. As they drove away, I hoped Lily would always remember moments like that instead of expensive presents. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Sarah Mitchell. Ethan, I wanted to update you. Is Lily okay? She's confused. About what? She's beginning to notice differences between words and actions. I stayed quiet. Sarah continued. Children pay attention more than adults realize. What happened? Lily mentioned Ryan promised to attend a school activity. Did he? He canceled. I closed my eyes. I see. She also said he becomes impatient when she asks him to play. I didn't smile. I couldn't. Sarah spoke gently. She's asking difficult questions now. Like what? Why does Daddy always have time for me, but Ryan doesn't? A lump formed in my throat. I never wanted her caught in the middle. I know. But the truth is becoming impossible for her to ignore. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Lily. The next afternoon, something happened that changed everything. Lily accidentally left her favorite sweater at my apartment. I drove to Olivia's house to return it. I knocked once. Nobody answered. As I turned to leave, I heard voices through the slightly open kitchen window. Ryan sounded irritated. I'm tired of this. Olivia asked. Tired of what? Children. My feet froze. They're expensive responsibilities. My heart sank. Ryan kept talking. They always need attention. Olivia sounded surprised. You didn't used to say that. I said what people wanted to hear. So Lily? She's a good kid. He shrugged. but she's not my responsibility. I couldn't breathe. Then I heard something else. A small gasp. I slowly looked toward the hallway window. Lily stood there. She wasn't supposed to hear any of it. Tears filled her eyes. She covered her mouth with both hands. Ryan hadn't seen her. Olivia hadn't either. I stepped away before anyone noticed me. A few minutes later, my phone vibrated. It was Lily. Daddy. Her voice shook. What's wrong, sweetheart? She cried quietly. You were right. I leaned against my car. What happened? You never said bad things about him. No. I heard him. I closed my eyes. He said. She couldn't finish the sentence. I spoke softly. It's okay. He doesn't love me, does he? The question shattered my heart. I answered as gently as I could. I don't know what's in his heart. She sobbed. But I know what's in mine. She stayed silent. I have loved you since the first moment I held you. I know. I'll love you tomorrow. She sniffled. And every day after that. I miss you, Daddy. I miss you too. Before I could say anything else, Olivia called Lily's name from inside the house. I have to go. Okay. I love you. I love you more. The call ended. I sat inside my car for a long time. Not because I felt victorious. Because I wished my daughter had never learned such a painful lesson. The following week, another piece of news spread quickly. Ryan's company had launched an internal ethics investigation. Several employees had reported serious concerns about his conduct. Olivia called me late that night. Her voice sounded different. Quieter. I found the documents. I already knew what she meant. Grace was telling the truth. Yes. I didn't believe her. I know. I didn't believe you either. I remained silent. She whispered, almost to herself. I thought I knew the man I chose. Then she began to cry. For the first time since our marriage started falling apart. Olivia wasn't defending Ryan anymore. She was finally seeing him without the mask. 3 months passed before the custody hearing finally arrived. I stood outside the courthouse, staring at the tall stone building. Daniel walked beside me. You ready? I gave a weak smile. I don't think anyone is ever ready for this. He adjusted the file under his arm. Just tell the truth. I will. That's all the court needs. I nodded. As we walked inside, I spotted Olivia sitting on a bench. She looked exhausted. The confident woman I once knew had disappeared. Dark circles rested beneath her eyes. When she saw me, she slowly stood. Ethan. Good morning. She hesitated. Can we talk? Daniel glanced at me. I'll wait inside. I watched him leave before looking back at Olivia. What did you want to say? She took a deep breath. I'm sorry. I stayed silent. I know saying that doesn't fix anything. No, it doesn't. She lowered her eyes. I should have protected you. And Lily. Tears filled her eyes. I know. I stayed quiet when she said she wanted another father. I remember. I replay that moment every night. I looked away. So do I. She wiped her face. I don't expect forgiveness. You shouldn't expect anything today. Before she could answer, the courtroom doors opened. A clerk called our names. We're ready for the Brooks custody hearing. Inside, the courtroom felt quiet and serious. Ryan sat at the opposite table. He avoided looking at me. For the first time since I had met him, he didn't look confident. Judge Margaret Collins entered. Everyone stood. She looked around the room before taking her seat. Please be seated. Her voice was calm but firm. She opened the case file. This court is here for one purpose. Nobody spoke. The emotional and physical well-being of Lily Brooks. She looked at each of us. This is not about winning. It's about protecting a child. I felt a small sense of relief. Daniel stood first. Your Honor, my client has remained actively involved in Lily's life despite the separation. Judge Collins nodded. I've reviewed the records. She turned toward me. Mr. Brooks. Yes, Your Honor. I have one question. I'm listening. Have you ever tried to stop your daughter from seeing her mother? No. Why not? Because Lily deserves to love both of her parents. The judge made a note. Thank you. Ryan's attorney stood next. My client has provided financial support. Judge Collins interrupted gently. This court values emotional stability more than expensive gifts. The attorney quietly sat down. For the first time, Ryan looked uncomfortable. Then Sarah Mitchell was called to testify. She smiled kindly at Lily before taking a seat. Judge Collins asked, Ms. Mitchell, based on your professional opinion, how has Lily responded to the family situation? Sarah answered honestly. At first, she believed replacing relationships would solve conflict. And now, she understands love cannot be replaced by money. The courtroom became completely silent. Sarah continued. Lily carries deep guilt. Guilt? Yes. She believes she hurt her father. I swallowed hard. Sarah looked toward me. She talks about that dinner almost every session. Judge Collins nodded slowly. Thank you. Sarah returned to her seat. A few minutes later, Judge Collins looked toward Lily. Lily. My daughter stood nervously. Would you come here, please? Lily slowly walked to the front of the courtroom. She looked so small standing there. Judge Collins smiled gently. You don't have to be afraid. Lily nodded. I just want you to answer honestly. I will. The judge leaned forward. Who makes you feel safe? Lily looked down at her shoes. She didn't answer. Judge Collins waited patiently. Finally, Lily whispered, My daddy. I felt my chest tighten. The judge smiled kindly. And why does he make you feel safe? Lily looked toward me. Because. Her voice cracked. He never stopped loving me. Tears filled my eyes. The courtroom remained completely silent. Judge Collins handed Lily a tissue. It's okay. Lily wiped her cheeks. I know. Then the judge asked the question everyone had been waiting for. Lily. She paused. Who do you want to live with? Lily froze. Her lips trembled. She looked at me, then at Olivia. Suddenly, she began to cry. Lily covered her face with both hands. I'm sorry. Judge Collins waited patiently. No one is rushing you, Lily. She took a shaky breath and looked at me. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. I've been scared to say this. You can tell the truth. She nodded. I never wanted another father. The courtroom fell silent. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I only wanted everyone to stop fighting. My heart ached. She looked at the judge. I thought if Daddy changed, everyone would be happy again. Judge Collins spoke gently. Who told you that? Lily lowered her head. Ryan said things would be better. She paused. I believed him. She turned back to me, but he wasn't right. I couldn't stop my own tears. She walked a few steps closer. Daddy, those words I said at dinner. Her voice broke. They follow me every night. I swallowed hard. I remember them. I remember them too. She cried even harder. I wish I could take them back. You can't. She nodded. I know. I was wrong. She wiped her eyes. You were always there. You came to every school play. You fixed my bike. You stayed with me when I was sick. You read stories until I fell asleep. She looked at the floor. I forgot all of that because I thought presence meant love. Then she looked into my eyes. They don't. I couldn't stay where I was. I walked across the courtroom and knelt in front of her. She threw her arms around my neck. I'm sorry, Daddy. I hugged her tightly. You don't have to carry this alone. I hurt you. You were a little girl. I still hurt you. I gently brushed the tears from her face. Listen to me. She nodded. I forgave you the moment you said you were sorry. She stared at me. Really? There has never been a single day when I stopped being your father. She cried into my shoulder. I love you. I love you more. Behind us, I heard someone sobbing. I turned my head. Olivia was crying harder than anyone in the room. She covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. When she finally spoke, her voice barely came out. This is my fault. Judge Collins looked at her. Mrs. Brooks. Olivia stood slowly. I should have protected my husband. She looked at me. I should have protected our daughter. She shook her head. When Lily asked for another father, she began crying again. I stayed silent. She closed her eyes. My silence hurt both of them. Nobody interrupted her. I kept believing money could build a better future. She looked at Lily. I didn't realize I was destroying the family we already had. The courtroom remained still. Even Ryan said nothing. Judge Collins turned toward him. Mr. Carter, do you wish to make a statement? Ryan stood. For the first time, he had no confident smile. I think it's best if I leave. Without another word, he picked up his briefcase. Nobody tried to stop him. Nobody looked at him. He quietly walked out of the courtroom. The sound of the closing door echoed through the room. Judge Collins watched him leave before turning back to us. She folded her hands. This court has heard enough. She looked directly at me. Mr. Brooks. Yes, Your Honor. The evidence shows that you have consistently placed your daughter's emotional needs above your own pain. I listened quietly. She smiled at Lily. And it also shows that this child knows where she feels safest. Lily reached for my hand. I held it gently. Judge Collins closed the file. My decision will reflect Lily's best interests. She paused. I hope every adult in this room remembers that children learn more from our actions than our words. I understand, I said. So do I, Olivia whispered. As the hearing ended, Lily held my hand tighter. She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Daddy. Yes. Please. She took a trembling breath. Please come home. I closed my eyes for a moment. I had already forgiven my daughter. That had never been difficult. She was only a child trying to understand a world that adults had made painfully confusing. But as I looked at Olivia standing a few feet away, I realized forgiving my wife would take far longer. Some wounds heal quickly. Others leave scars that never truly disappear. The judge's decision became official 2 weeks later. Lily came to live with me. Olivia received scheduled visitation. When I unlocked the apartment door with Lily beside me, she looked around and smiled. So, this is our home now. I smiled back. It is. She walked into the living room. It's smaller than the old house. It is. But it feels warm. I laughed softly. I was hoping you'd say that. She put her backpack on the couch. Can I help make dinner? Only if you're okay with spaghetti. She grinned. I love your spaghetti. For the first time in a long time, the apartment sounded like a home instead of a place where I slept. That evening, we cooked together. Lily accidentally dropped a spoon. Oops. I picked it up. Good thing spoons don't break easily. She giggled. You always make mistakes seem funny. That's because everyone makes them. She looked at me for a second. Even grown-ups. Especially grown-ups. Her smile slowly faded. Mom made a really big mistake. I stirred the sauce quietly. Yes. Are you still mad at her? I thought carefully before answering. I'm hurt. Is that different? It is. How? I looked at her. Being angry usually fades. And being hurt, that takes longer to heal. She nodded as if she understood. After dinner, we sat on the couch with bowls of ice cream. Lily leaned against my shoulder. I like it here. I'm glad. It feels peaceful. So do I. A few days later, Olivia came for her first scheduled visit. She knocked softly. When I opened the door, she looked nervous. Hi. Hi. She looked at Lily. Ready to go? Lily smiled politely. Yes. Before leaving, Olivia looked at me. Thank you. I nodded. Take care of her. I will. She hesitated. I always should have. I didn't answer. Some conversations needed more time than words. That evening, Lily came home smiling. We went to the park. Did you have fun? I did. She paused. Mom talked a lot. About what? About telling the truth. I quietly listened. She said trust isn't something you can ask for. What else did she say? She said you earn it. I smiled faintly. She's right. Over the following months, Olivia never missed a visit. She arrived on time. She listened more than she spoke. She stopped trying to buy Lily expensive gifts. Instead, they baked cookies, played board games, and read books together. One afternoon, Olivia asked if we could talk after dropping Lily home. Just 5 minutes. I agreed. We stood outside the apartment building. She took a deep breath. I've been wanting to say this for a long time. I waited quietly. I chased status. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought success would make me happy. She looked away. I already had everything that mattered. Neither of us spoke for a moment. She continued. I lost sight of the family that stood beside me. I nodded slowly. I know. I hurt you. Yes. I hurt Lily. Yes. She wiped away a tear. I'll spend the rest of my life regretting that. I believe she meant every word. For the first time, her apology didn't sound like an excuse. It sounded like acceptance. I don't expect another chance, she said quietly. I only want to become someone Lily can be proud of again. I looked at her for a long moment. I hope you do. She gave me a small, grateful smile. Thank you. As she walked back to her car, I realized something important. Forgiveness and reconciliation were not the same thing. I could genuinely forgive the pain she had caused, without reopening the door to the marriage we had lost. Life settled into a rhythm I had almost forgotten was possible. Every morning, Lily and I ate breakfast together before school. Every evening, we talked about our day over dinner. There were no arguments, no comparisons, no feeling that I had to compete for my own daughter's love. One Saturday morning, Lily walked into the kitchen carrying 2 mugs. I made hot chocolate. I smiled. You did? I didn't burn anything. I laughed. Then I'm already impressed. She handed me a mug. Thank you. We sat by the window. After a few minutes, she looked at me. Daddy. Yes. Are we going to be okay? I reached across the table and held her hand. We already are. She smiled softly. I like hearing you say that. A few weeks later, Sarah Mitchell invited us both to a final therapy session. She greeted us with a warm smile. It's good to see you. It's good to be here, I replied. Sarah looked at Lily. How have you been feeling? Lily thought for a moment. Safer. What changed? She looked at me. Daddy stopped trying to make everyone happy. I raised my eyebrows. Is that a good thing? She nodded. Now he's happy too. Sarah smiled. That's a very thoughtful answer. She turned toward me. And how are you doing, Ethan? I took a slow breath. For a long time, I believed my worth depended on whether someone chose me. And now, I choose myself. Sarah nodded. That's healthy. I finally understand that loving someone doesn't mean accepting disrespect. When the session ended, Sarah shook my hand. You've both come a long way. So have we. Outside the office, Lily slipped her hand into mine. I'm glad we came. So am I. Spring slowly turned into summer. One bright afternoon, I surprised Lily with a brand new bicycle. Her eyes grew wide. For me. For you. She hugged me tightly. Thank you. We spent the afternoon in a quiet park. I held the back of the bicycle seat while she tried to keep her balance. I can't do it. Yes, you can. What if I fall? I'll be right here. She took another deep breath. Don't let go. I won't. After a few seconds, she began pedaling on her own. Without realizing it, I slowly released my hand. She rode several meters before looking back. Daddy. You did it. She laughed louder than I had heard in years. Then she stopped the bicycle and ran back to me. I was riding by myself. I knew you could. She wrapped her arms around me. Then she whispered something I knew I would remember for the rest of my life. Daddy, I never needed a new father. Tears filled my eyes. I only needed to know you would never stop loving me. I couldn't speak for a moment. Finally, I smiled through my tears. There has never been a day when I stopped. There never will be. She smiled. I know that now. Later that evening, Olivia came by to drop off one of Lily's school projects. She looked happier than she had in months. Not because life had become easy, because she had accepted the consequences of her choices. She handed me the project. She worked really hard on this. I can tell. She hesitated. Ethan. Yes. Thank you for never turning Lily against me. I answered honestly. She deserves 2 parents who love her. You've given her that. She smiled sadly. I know we can't go back. No. I finally understand why. I nodded. Some promises, once broken, can't be rebuilt the same way. She wiped away a tear. I'll keep trying to become a better mother. For Lily. For Lily. She left with a quiet smile. As I watched her drive away, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because everyone received the ending they wanted, but because everyone finally accepted the truth. That night, Lily hugged me before bed. Good night, Daddy. Good night, sweetheart. I love you. I love you more. After she fell asleep, I stood outside her bedroom for a moment and smiled. I hadn't won revenge. I hadn't defeated an enemy. I had done something far more important. I had found the courage to walk away from a life built on fear and rebuild one built on love, honesty, and self-respect. In the end, Ryan lost everything he tried to steal. Olivia found humility through regret. Lily found the father she had never truly lost. And I found the one person I had almost forgotten to fight for. Myself.